Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Michael Noland here, and I'm just wrapping up and I'm getting ready to film my very next video, Decoding Led Zeppelin Part 5, but this one's going to be a bit special. What happens when a band must decode itself to fully become what it is meant to be? And that's what the whole next video is about. In the meantime, once again, I was invited as a guest panelist on Royce in the House. And in that discussion, we discussed Led Zeppelin intermittently. The following video are clips based on our discussions of Led Zeppelin primarily. And if you're really astute, there are a few hints in this video as to where I am going to go in my very next Part 5 of Decoding Led Zeppelin. All right, so anyway, I had a great time. I want to thank Royce for having me on the channel. Thanks, Lou. Thanks, Dan, Jeff, all of you. It's always so much fun to get together with you guys. All of you are so wonderfully knowledgeable about what you speak about. It is an honor to even be included on the panel.
Well, you know, one thing we just did that the people do not know that are signing in or are going to watch this later, they didn't hear the pregame on this. Before the people showed up, we were in the back room chatting, and one of the things that they did not hear us talk about that I think we should mention now, Royce, is that we were defining, first off, some of the elements. Dan was doing a great job, I felt, specifically of kind of bulleting what is or what makes a great frontman. What is it? You know, is it just moving around like crazy, or is it singing with a really great voice? Dan, why don't you repeat what you said, if you wouldn't mind, earlier?
Well, to me, there's like at least three things. First of all, they got to be very talented. They have to have the talent. Second, they have to have the attitude. Well, actually, there's quite a few things. Stage presence.
It's a presence,
Their interaction with the audience, you know, on stage and off stage.
Right.
You want your audience to feel as though they know you personally.
Right.
You know, and if you're distant, well, they're not going to be as close.
You know, that's one of the things I think that is so cool about Robert Plant. Now, one of the things, now he's not a lead vocalist for a band, but Elvis, right away, everybody knew that Elvis was real.
Oh, yeah.
Authenticity.
You could see you could see his shyness. You could see still the polite young man, and people got turned on to that. And I think Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin always had that ability. He somehow could come out looking like a Greek god, right?
Absolutely.
Sounding like Apollo himself. And then at the same time, not alienate every 16-year-old boy that was there with their girlfriend. And he just had it all, guys. He had it all.
Yeah.
You wanted to be him. You wanted to be him when you watched Robert Plant. You wanted to be that dude. And I couldn't agree with you more, Michael. When I saw Robert Plant,
unless you turned your eyes over to stage right, or however they say that, and saw Page strapped with that six gun, you know, guitar, then you wanted to be him. But then Robert would open his mouth.
But I'm going to mention something that's a lot of people don't talk about Robert Plant, but it's obvious. It's obvious to us people. So as far as stage presence and look, one of the things that Robert Plant was one of the first of, and Elvis did this a little bit too, and ladies know this, is the package. He was showing his package. You guys remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Robert Plant
he wore some pretty tight pants. Yeah.
You're like, I think I know his religion, you know? And he's right-handed.
That explains that object that was about, 1 foot in front of him?
Is that a butterfly patch? You know, but that's part of rock and roll. You know, he could wear a little girl's blouse, have his package pointing to the west, and then the next thing you know, and you still wanted to be that dude. You're just like, I want to be him, man.
Yeah.
You know, I just covered this in a video, guys, and one of the, you know, where that all started to happen was they went on tour late, 1968, first American tour. They left they had to leave the 23rd of December so that they could get and start showing up all the headlining bands, immediately. But Robert was still having trouble connecting. And it was during the West Coast section of that tour down in LA at the Whiskey A Go-Go, 5 nights running, playing with Alice Cooper, right?
Okay.
He transformed himself. After that, they hit the Fillmore West, then off to the East Coast to the Fillmore East. And he was transformed, and so was Led Zeppelin. And that's that part that, Dan, you're talking about. Up to this point, up to the point of the Whiskey A Go-Go guys, he wasn't quite on that world edge level. And both him and Page were concerned about that, and something happened. And Dan, that's what I'm talking about when you were talking about all those nuances as to what makes a truly great lead vocalist. It just hit me like a ton of bricks.
Right.
Great.
You know, one of the things I really love about the internet, as time goes on, people keep putting more data out there. And I've actually found a concert, the Led Zeppelin concert I went to in '77.
Wow.
And it's just audio only, but it's the entire concert on audio.
I gotta look that up because that's when I went.
Yeah, it was Zeppelin. It was in San Diego Sports Arena.
Right on.
I think it was June of '77.
That has to be about right because I saw him in Oakland at Day on the Green. So that's I saw him the last weekend.
It was actually scheduled for like March, but it got delayed for some reason. They rescheduled it for like June. And I saw it right before I got out of the military. It was best concert ever. So I was really surprised when I found that the audio was out there.
Hey, this is for Michael real quick. We talked about this a little bit earlier.
Presents.
And on the back, it actually, this one came with this. And
wow.
You straighten this out and it stands up,
To pop up.
I took pictures of it standing up,
I didn't know that came with it. I didn't get that.
There it is.
Mine
It's
didn't have
standing
that
up.
in it.
No.
The reason that Royce is even bringing that up is I kind of unveiled this for the studio, you know? Where is it?
Right.
But anyway, that's why he's bringing that up.
We got a conversation about it.
Have it around. Yeah.
This is a German pressing, It is the Swan Song label and everything, but it's a German pressing, and maybe that's why it came with this.
Yeah, mine didn't have that.
A couple of my viewers actually mentioned it besides you, Royce. So I bought the album brand new the day it came out, and I never saw a cutout. I never saw a cutout. So I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a name for that little object on the Presence album?
Monolith?
Most of the time, they just call it the object, don't they?
Right.
And,
I think the object. Yeah.
I call it
Weird.
the obelisk.
They made very few of them. If you had the real thing, it'd be worth a fortune.
To me, it always reminded me of the monolith on 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yes.
Exactly. Matter of fact, the second I saw it, that's
exactly
what kind of flavored how I heard that album. Because I would see that and I'd peruse the album artwork. And that's at the time, that was my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah,
but I got to tell you, that flavored my whole brain as far as how I heard those songs. And Presence is one of my favorite Led Zeppelin albums. One of the albums that most Led Zeppelin fans rank a little lower than others. I think it's fabulous. It's like Led Zeppelin 3, almost. That you take that. And there's a lot of flavor. It almost seems to be sandwiched between Led Zeppelin 2 and Led Zeppelin 3.
You know what? With Led Zeppelin, a lot of the songs that would have been #1 hits for most band, or the best song the band would have written ever, were really kind of overlooked with Led Zeppelin because they had so many. They had so many great songs. There was like a pile of them, like a stockpile.
Oh yeah.
So it was bizarre, that they like this song wasn't like just the best one.
It had several subgenres within each album. After the first two albums, I mean, the first two albums was heavy rock with a couple of ballads thrown in, with the exception of the one great ballad off the second album. But what I'm talking about here is that after that, it wasn't just light and shade, as people say,
Right.
you know, because when they talk about Jimmy, they go light and shade, light and shade.
Yeah,
And
heard
there's
that.
always that. There's always that. But each album, and especially, and it's fastly becoming my favorite album again, Houses of the Holy. There are like 6 different subgenres on that album, Lou.
Yeah.
It's such a journey to listen to it, and it's sad people aren't. See, when I listen to music, I sit down and put the album on from beginning to end. Even today, I do that, and people don't do that anymore. And it's like you're missing art. You know, it's like being at the Louvre and walking past the Mona Lisa real quick.
That's a good way of putting it.
If you don't do it this
way, that's a
great
example.
You know?
Yeah, I always go beginning to end. I don't skip anything. You know.
That's because we had albums. I mean, you had albums. You listen to one side, and you turn over.
Not all songs are created equal, but it's still all part of the album, you know, and it all needs to be
part of the identity, right?
It's part of the identity, right?
You know, I'm doing this with the Led Zeppelin series right now on my channel, but it's called Decoding What's Not There. All right.
Beautifully said.
Look at what you can't just see the obvious about these great bands that came before you. And I agree with you. I have seen some of the greatest talent. It's there, guys. The music industry is in complete tatters, but the talent is there. But a lot of the younger musicians haven't learned how to decode what came before.
Here's what I know. If any of these young guys had any of you guys show up at a gig and actually buy a ticket, you're doing something right. You want the guys on this panel showing up at your shows, because the reason that people need to listen to you guys is because you are like super fans. I mean, you're beyond above that. You guys love your music so much. You don't just listen to the music, you dissect it. You know, you're really into it. So what the goal should be for the new bands, like you want guys like this showing up at your shows, because then you know you got something going on. And that's what a frontman wants right there.
You need somebody showing up at your gigs that is searching. If they're not searching, if you don't have searchers in your audience, maybe it's the next band that'll do it. You know,
that's a great point. Yeah, you got to get beyond your family and friends. Go out of town, fill the room. Now you're working on it, buddy.
All right, so that about does it for tonight's video. I'm Michael Noland. This, of course, is The Bottom Line. And if you get a chance and you haven't yet, go ahead and hit subscribe to the tribe. I guarantee you, if you do that, plus hit the top bell notification, you'll be notified of all my future videos. If you know anybody who would enjoy this type of content, feel free to share the video as always. You know, it's because of people sharing my videos that the channel has grown exponentially over the last even 2 weeks. And of course, the names you're seeing here are only a portion of our new subscribers. We're still scrambling to get you all shouted out, and we will catch up eventually. And one more thing, guys, I just want to let you know, I really enjoy putting these videos out for you. And you know, it was always with the intention of garnering a discussion, and that's where this channel really comes alive. Just take a look at some of the comments that our viewers have left, always respectful and yet very thought-provoking at the same time. And of course, if you like tonight's video, please consider giving us a thumbs up. It helps the YouTube algorithm better recognize the channel. Stop that. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching tonight's video, and I'll see you in my very next video.